Welcome back to the Sanctuary of Forbidden Truths. In our last video, we touched upon the Emerald Tablet, which stated all things arose from the one thing by the will of the one. At the time, it seemed like mere poetry. But in the mid-20th century, neurosurgeon Karl Pribram encountered a chilling reality. Karl Pribram was no mystic. He was a brilliant Stanford scientist, a man of facts and scalpels. He was acquainted with the greatest minds of his era, including Albert Einstein himself. His pursuit was a simple yet fundamental question. Where, precisely, in our brain are memories stored? In those years, science was convinced memory was a physical trace, an engram, etched into specific neurons, like a file on a hard drive. Pribram set out to find this location. He trained rats in complex maze maneuvers, then removed parts of their brains, hoping to erase the learned skill. But something impossible occurred. Pribram removed section after section. 10% of the brain, 20, 50. Eventually, he removed nearly 90% of the cerebral cortex. By all logic, the creature should have become a vegetable, devoid of a single memory, yet the rat continued to find its way through the maze. Its movements were clumsy due to motor damage, but the knowledge of the path itself remained intact. The memory had not vanished. It was not tied to any single cell. It was everywhere and nowhere, all at once. This paradox baffled Pribram for decades. If memory is not localized, then how is it stored? It defied all of Western medicine. And it wasn't until the 1960s, when physics presented the world with the concept of the laser hologram, that Pribram exclaimed, "Eureka!" To grasp what Pribram realized, we must recall the first law of the Kybalion, the law of mentalism. The all is mind, the universe is mental. If the universe is thought, then it need not obey the laws of solid bodies. It obeys the laws of information. Pribram understood, the brain functions not as an archive, but as a receiver for holographic waves. Your memory of a first kiss or the scent of rain doesn't reside in neuron hash 402. It's distributed throughout the brain's structure as interference patterns. This discovery became the first brick in the wall of a new reality. But neurosurgery is only half the story. To comprehend the magnitude of reality's conspiracy, we must turn to quantum physics and the man whom Einstein called his spiritual heir. Look at an ordinary photograph. If you cut it in half, you see only half the image. One part shows a head, the other legs. This is the linear world we are accustomed to. A world of separation and fragmentation. But now consider a hologram. This is an image created by a laser on a special plate. At first glance, it appears as mere chaos of circles and lines, like ripples on a pond where a handful of stones have been tossed. But illuminate it with a laser, and a 3D image emerges. And now the magic. If you shatter the holographic plate into tiny pieces and illuminate a single, minuscule shard with a laser, what do you see? You don't see a fragment of the image. You see the entire image just with slightly less clarity. This is the principle of the hologram. Every part contains the whole. This is the scientific definition of Hermes Trismegistus' formula, as above, so below. Every cell in your body contains the blueprint of the entire universe. If you grasp this principle, you begin to see why the ancient priests of Egypt spoke of the microcosm and the macrocosm. You are not merely a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean, folded into the form of a drop. And 20th century science began to prove this mathematically. In 1982, at the University of Paris, an event occurred that physicists still try to sweep under the rug. A team of scientists, led by Alain Aspect, conducted an experiment that was meant to settle the dispute between Einstein and quantum mechanics. They took two elementary particles born from the same process, so-called entangled particles. According to quantum theory, they remain connected forever, no matter what happens to them. Aspect separated them to an immense distance. Then, the scientists altered the spin, rotation, of one particle. And in that very instant, I emphasize instantaneously, the second particle reversed its spin. There was no wire, no radio signal between them. They simply knew what their sister had done. The speed of light is the limit of our physical reality. But this interaction occurred faster than the speed of light. It was beyond time and beyond space. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance and refused to believe it until his death. Why was Einstein mistaken? Because he viewed the particles as separate objects. Imagine two fish in an aquarium, observed through two television cameras. On one monitor, a fish swims left. On the other, it swims right. If you didn't know it was an aquarium, you'd think the fish were communicating telepathically. But the truth is, it's the same fish viewed from different angles. In a holographic universe, there is no distance. There is only the illusion of separation. Physicist David Bohm, who worked with Oppenheimer and Einstein, went even further. He understood that Aspect's experiment meant, at a deep subatomic level of reality, everything in the world is inextricably connected. We are all parts of one invisible fabric. Remember the third law of the Kybalion, the law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Bohm called this holo movement. The entire universe is an eternal flow of vibrations, constantly unfolding and refolding. Bohm introduced two key concepts, explicate order and implicate order. The explicate order is our material world, chairs, tables, planets, people. It's what we see with our eyes, but it's merely the foam on the surface of a bottomless ocean. Beneath this layer lies the implicate order. This is a realm of pure potential, where time and space do not exist. Here, everything is one. It is from here that our reality unfolds. Like an image from a holographic plate, David Bohm was not just a physicist, he was a philosopher. He engaged in conversations for many years with the great Indian thinker Jiddu Krishnamurti. Together they came to the conclusion, our consciousness is also part of the implicate order. We do not look at the world, we asterisk this world. Bohm asserted, if we divide the world into parts, into nations, religions, into I and you, we commit an error against the very structure of reality. This separateness is an illusion. It is the very cause of all human suffering, as spoken of in ancient texts. When you become aware of the implicate order, you begin to understand the fourth law of the Kybalion, the law of polarity. Opposites are merely different facets of the same holographic recording. Light and darkness, good and evil, they fold into a single point in the implicate order. In 1991, Michael Talbot published the book The Holographic Universe. He brought together the works of Pribram and Bohm, adding to them hundreds of unexplained phenomena. From near-death experiences to collective hallucinations, Talbot showed that the holographic model explains everything that official science calls mysticism. If the universe is a hologram, then information about the future is already contained within the present. If the universe is a hologram, then thought can influence matter. This brings us back to the second law of the Kybalion, the law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. Your inner state is the laser beam that illuminates the hologram of reality. Change the frequency of the beam and the image before you will change. Let us ponder for a moment. If physical reality is a projection, then where is the projector? The ancients called it nous, divine mind, or the one. Modern physics calls it the quantum field. The difference is merely in the terminology. The Emerald Tablet states it ascends from the earth to the sky and again descends to the earth, receiving the strength of the higher and the lower. This is an accurate description of the circulation of energy in a holographic system. Information constantly flows from the implicate order to the explicate and back again. But why don't we see this? Why does the world seem so solid and real to us? The answer is simple. Our brain is a lens. It filters out 99% of the holographic noise so that we can survive in this three-dimensional game. We do not see reality, but its simplified translation. Recall Pribram's experiment with rats. The memory did not disappear because it was recorded in the very field of reality to which the brain was merely connecting. When you recall something, you are not flipping through old files. You are reconstructing the event anew from the quantum fabric. This means that the past is not fixed forever. In the holographic model, everything exists in the now. The fifth principle of the Kybalion, the law of rhythm, speaks of tides and ebbs. In a hologram, this is the interference of waves. Events repeat because the wave patterns are cyclical. If the universe is holographic, then each of us possesses potential access to all the information of creation. This explains the phenomenon of genius. Mozart or Tesla did not invent their masterpieces. They tuned their receiver to a specific sector of the hologram. Michael Talbot, in his book, describes cases where people in a deep trance could see events happening thousands of kilometers away. In a hologram, there is no concept of far. Any point in space coincides with any other point. This also explains synchronicity, those very coincidental occurrences that Carl Jung wrote about. When you think of a friend and they call you a second later, this is not a coincidence, it is the resonance of 2 points within a single hologram. You might ask, if all this is true, why isn't it blared on all the news channels? Because acknowledging the holographic nature of the world means the collapse of the entire modern system of control. If you are the center of the universe, you do not need intermediaries. The sixth law of the Kybalion, the law of cause and effect. In a hologram, cause and effect are not separated by time. They are parts of a single pattern. Your intention today is already a completed fact in the implicate order, which has simply not yet unfolded into the explicate. Theoretical physicists today are discussing the holographic principle. The idea is that all the information of our three-dimensional world is encoded on a two-dimensional surface of its boundaries. This is pure mathematics, confirming that we live inside a projection. Stephen Hawking used this principle to study black holes. He realized that the information of an object falling into a black hole doesn't disappear, but is preserved on its event horizon as a hologram. Our entire world might be such a recording, but who or what created this recording? The Emerald Tablet provides the answer. The father is the sun, the mother is the moon, the wind carried it in its belly. These are metaphors for the forces physics calls energy, information, and consciousness. The seventh law of the Kybalion is the law of polarity. Everything has a masculine and feminine principle. In holography, this is the laser beam, masculine, active, and the photographic plate, feminine, receptive. Without their interaction, no image will emerge. Your consciousness is the active beam. Your life is the passive plate upon which the image manifests. If you don't like what you see, it's useless to rub the plate. You must change the settings of the laser, your mind. This is not esoteric babble. It's a direct consequence of the work of Bohm and Pribram. If the brain is a holographic scanner, then we are literally choosing reality from an infinite set of wave functions. Many ask, why can't I create $1 million with the power of thought? Because your superficial desire is a weak flashlight. The hologram only responds to deep, coherent vibrations of the subconscious, to that very hidden order. David Bohm believed that humanity is in a state of transition. We are learning to perceive ourselves not as fragments but as a hollow movement. When a critical mass of people understands this, the very fabric of reality may change. Recall the phrase from the tablet, separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the gross. This is the process of realizing the hidden order behind the veil of the manifest. This is the great work of the alchemists, transforming the lead of dense perception into the gold of quantum consciousness. What are the practical implications? Firstly, your health. If every cell contains information about the whole, then every cell in your body holds the blueprint of your ideal healthy state. You simply need to activate this design. Secondly, it changes our perception of death. In a hologram, nothing can be destroyed. Information simply folds back into the hidden order, like a song that has ended but remains recorded on the disc. Thirdly, it explains telepathy and intuition. If we are all parts of one hologram, then accessing another person's thoughts is not magic, but a natural function of the system. We have simply forgotten how to use this connection. Déjà vu is a moment when your consciousness accidentally reads data from an adjacent sector of the hologram, where that event has already unfolded. It's a glitch in your brain's filtering system. Physicists today increasingly use the term simulation, but hologram is a deeper concept. Simulation implies a computer. Hologram implies a living mind. The universe is not a computational machine. It is the thought of God. Look at the fractals in nature. A snowflake, a fern frond, the circulatory system, the spirals of galaxies. They repeat the same form at different scales. This is visual proof of the holographic principle. As above, so below. 5,000 years ago, these words were carved in stone. Today, they are calculated on supercomputers. Truth does not change. Only our way of describing it evolves. We stand on the precipice of the greatest discovery in history. We are beginning to understand that the boundaries of our bodies are an illusion, that we are co-authors of this cosmic film, and that the key to controlling reality has always been in our hands. David Bohm died in 1992, never seeing full recognition for his ideas. But today, in the era of quantum computers, his work is becoming the foundation for a new physics, a physics that will finally shake hands with mysticism. In the next video, we will examine aspects experiment in detail. I will show you exactly how particles talk to each other, and how you can use this quantum channel to connect with your future. This knowledge has been forbidden for too long. Subscribe to Forbidden Knowledge. We don't just study history or science. We remember what you have always known, but chose to forget upon entering this world. See you in the hidden order. Leave your thoughts in the comments. In the hologram, every word you speak has meaning.